How do we go? All right, here's the challenge. Let's see if we can go all the way through the whole thing. If you forget stuff while we're going, don't worry. Susan's just geeking out of the automaton right now.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, can you play some of it for us, Misha?
Di fara med det.
So good.
Good fun.
It's got like all the inflection and everything. I want one. What do people think about that as just sort of a general idea of kind of looking at some music of different cultures and learning how to play some of it and background, all that stuff?
I love it. It sounds awesome. Yeah, that's all I've got, but I love it.
It's probably quite good, especially in this kind of time when a lot of people are at home and might as well. It's probably easy to connect with people, you know, they could be in a different country and yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, Misha, that expert could be from anywhere. Like they don't have to be even from here now. That we could get someone from Japan to be like the taiko drumming tutor, which would be cool. Any more kind of like comments or questions or thoughts? People want to jump in the mix there?
I think that'd be a really good idea and get more exposure to different types of music out there. And I've been reading about things like microtones and all, but then haven't really experienced it properly. So I think that would be really interesting.
So look at that! Isn't that cool? So much variety, so many different places. We don't have anyone in North or South America or Greenland or Africa. So those might be some interesting places to investigate because we don't have anyone from those areas. It'd be kind of cool. Unsurprisingly, no one from Antarctica. Let's go to the next question. Not sure if it's English pig or pig Latin. So cool. How cool is this, everyone? Any more if you haven't jumped in? Have you got any that we haven't covered yet?
Nick DeWedge is missing one. Cool.
Cool. While we're on this slide, could we have maybe everyone who, if you speak one of those languages, could you say like, hi, my name is in that language? Like, so we could all hear it? That would be super cool. I'm going to mute and let other people take the floor in different languages here.
Hi, my name's Matt.
Привет, у меня зовут Misha.
I vaguely understand Russian. Yay!
Apa kabar? Nama saya Siu Ching.
Who put gibberish? I need to hear that.
It won't be easy, right?
Grace. That was gibberish.
Can we hear Welsh, please? Whoever speaks that.
Welsh is really simple. It's just Claire do E.
What about Japanese?
こんにちは。私の名前はキミです。
I can do, it's not my name is, but it's how are you today? And it's, hey, hoe gaat het met jou? Which is all I can say in Dutch.
So let's jump to our next question. What kinds of traditional music does your family play or listen to? And it might not be your immediate family. It might be like, you know, your grandparents or your cousins or your aunts and uncles, great-grandparents. Maybe, I I don't know what Langolan is. Can someone tell us what that is?
Yeah, again, that was me. Sorry, that was supposed to be two words together and it separated them. So Llangollen is where I presume you all did like Eisteddfods at school. So Llangollen is where the original Eisteddfod was held. And we've been to that a few times and we've like mum listens to the recordings of it and that kind of stuff.
Maybe just for the people who might not know, can you explain Eisteddfod?
So as I learned Eisteddfods here in Australia, they're basically like they're a music competition. So usually it's different schools, or again, adult musicians would come and you play something for the judges, and then there'd be a judging panel and a winner would be announced. The Llangollen one tends to be very world music focused, so it's like it's quite choral focused as well. So for the big choir competitions, you'll get choirs from all around the world competing. So you'll see, there's usually a South African choir that turns up, occasionally New Zealand choirs, not very many from Australia usually, plus a few local choirs.
I want to know who had to listen to Richard Clayderman.
Kim.
Kim, was it your music box dancer? Was it that era?
I think so. I just remember a lot of my parents, when I could actually play, like, read and play music on piano, they would ask me to try and play the songs. So that's why I know Richard Clayderman.
When Marcus, when Marcus was little, we were in the post office, and you know how they sell random stuff in post office, including CDs and weird stuff, right? So Marcus and Nick's, their granddad, he's Dutch, and he loves Andre Rieu. Andre Rieu is like second only to Jesus. And I had been quite dismissive in my musical, judgment about Andre Rieu. And Marcus must have been about 3, and he kept pointing. It was Christmas time, and they had the Andre Rieu Christmas DVDs, and he kept pointing at it saying, "Is that cheese? Is that cheese?" I was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, I think it's pretty cheesy, but your granddad really likes it. Don't want to make any judgment." And he kept saying, "No, is it cheese? Is it cheese?" I kept saying, "Look, shh," because the line in the post office was really long. I'm like, "Don't be a musical snob." And eventually I worked out what he was asking me was, "Is that jazz?" He was trying to work out, was Andre Rieu a jazz musician?
I think he has tried. I think Andre Rieu has tried. I like whoever wrote John Cage 433 there. Cool. So next question. This is so awesome. And this thing saves all the results. So I will share these up with everyone later. Do you, and maybe we could add this, do you or anyone in your family play any non-Western instruments? And yes, Misha, we will accept automaton.
Sorry, I put my answer in, but it separated the words again.
Cool. Who plays djembe?
I learned it when I was at school only a little bit. It was a special program they had.
And what is shamisen? Whoever just wrote that.
I had to Google it. I went to Japan on a holiday, and there was this village that resembles a traditional, I forget which era village, and you can play on instruments. So I went and tried the shamisen. It looks like a oval almost, so string type, and I could translate. It was fun, but other than that, I didn't really touch it outside of that one instance.
And what is Vonko guitar? I'm not sure if that's a typo. I know it does a weird thing where it splits the words.
Yeah, I put it all together so that it doesn't split the word. So it's ronco. Guitar is like my dad played it. It's just like a normal guitar, except the frets are all scalloped, so they like bend in like that shape. Yeah, and then it's used to play like this traditional Vietnamese music.
Awesome. And who typed gamelan?
Yeah, that was me. Because I did gamelan at uni as a subject.
Do you want to explain for people who might not know what it is and where it's from?
Yeah, so I believe it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure it's like Indonesian music, and so gamelan is basically it's more like a percussion ensemble. So there's kind of different yeah, there's like a number of different instruments, and you kind of, for us at least, we learned how to play like because each instrument would be playing a particular kind of like it would service particular kind of functions that has different kind of ways of hitting and stuff like that. And basically all the instruments are made of metal, so it's very like echoey. And that's kind of part of like the musical style and everything. But yeah, so it's like if you I describe them as kind of pots and pans, but some of them legitimately look kind of like a pan a little bit upside down. But you have to hit them in a certain way so that they resonate. And like you have to learn how to, you know, start the sound and stop the sound. And they have very much a sort of like oral or like they have written music like notation. Uh, Not typical like that's not at all like Western notation. But they also learn a lot by just kind of repeating and kind of copying. So yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, I did gamelan for 2 semesters at uni as well when I was in America, and yeah, it's really, really cool experience learning music in this different way. And they have, like someone was mentioning in the chat before about different scales, and Indonesian music has completely different scales to Western music, and each of the notes in the scale have a name, kind of like do, re, mi, fa, so, if you were doing solfege. And so the way we learnt was you would learn the pattern of notes. So I must have had it repeated to me so many times. Like one of the tunes I remember was um, Ji Nam Jiro Ji Nam Lumo. And that was like the main notes of the tune. And then every instrument had a different way of treating those notes. So some would just play that straight, and then some would go like G num G num G num G ro G doni, and they had like these different rhythmic patterns and stuff for like each instrument had different roles. It was super cool, and completely unlike anything else. What is garamut? Or I don't know if I said that correctly.
It's a small percussion instrument it's from Papua New Guinea, and my dad got me one when he went there, and then he came back and he brought it to me, and it's made of wood, and it's called well, garamut, but it's a slit drum, and it's kind of like a big wood block. But yeah, it's really cool, and it's got nice patterns on it as well.
And what is a Gayaling horn?
I can't claim to play it very well, but it's one of the traditional Nepalese kind of like picture like an Alp horn but metal. I got to play a little bit while I was in Nepal, but I can't claim to play it very well. But that's good. It's fun.
Maybe one of our activities over the next few weeks will have to be having an instrument show and tell, and like regardless of how well or terribly you can play the instrument, that everyone does. Maybe that will be part of our 2 minute talent, is 2 minute talent on bring a weird instrument that you find in your house and share with everyone. Who knows anything that they want to share about klezmer music?
Like Eastern European, like crazy improvisation in like cool harmonics, and on clarinet it's like lots of slides and like bending the notes and like the upper range, and it sounds awesome.
I used to work at a lot of Jewish weddings, and their music and dancing is like second to none. They're the most fun weddings you've ever seen.
That's so funny because last night I for some reason I was reading about Fiddler on the Roof, and I played in the orchestra for that, and the wedding dance music was so good, and To Life as well has some crazy stuff going on.
So my knowledge or experience of klezmer music is pretty limited, slightly more than nothing. So klezmer music is sort of it comes from the sort of Jewish and Yiddish cultural tradition, and like Liz was saying, like the dance is very much part of it as well, and like Cara said, there's a lot of improvisation or ornamentation would also be a really good word, like trills and kind of bending the pitch and doing all sorts of kind of cool things that are supposed to sometimes they're supposed to emulate like crying or sighing or laughing. You'll hear some of those kind of sounds in the music. So there's all sorts of various kind of instrumental combinations, but they often involve the instruments that you're going to see in this video. So
I think I've realized why I like Klezmer music, because my dad used to always play that song growing up and just get faster and faster and faster and faster on the piano. It was awesome.
It just struck me is how absurd, how I'm finding it increasingly absurd that our music making in this kind of large ensemble format is so obsessed with itself that it expects it to be the only thing that people can pay attention to. Like, they were just there as part of an experience of people coming together, communing together with food and music. And those musicians weren't like, hey, screw you for not like paying to come see us in a concert hall, or hey, screw you for enjoying your food and your company and our music at the same time. They were just like, we're part of the experience of people being together. And I was just thinking, like, why do we only demand that our sharing with an audience is that we must be the only thing they're paying attention to? You know? Like, yeah, so maybe we could think about that for next year. I know we love a collaboration, right? But like, how do we be, you know, maybe that is, maybe the whole listening only to the orchestra doing one thing at a time we don't need to do it that way anymore. And maybe audiences would really like an expanded experience of which we're part of something meaningful for them, instead of Brunch with Brahms, exactly. Instead of you must sit down and shut up for 2 hours and pay $90 for the privilege of being bought. You know, I was just looking at the musicians and thinking, they're having such a good time being part of something that's going on. They don't need to be the only thing. And wouldn't that, like, if we are here to serve our audience, maybe we could adjust our thinking that this might be something we can embrace going forward. Sorry, just a little ranty McRant there about being audience focused and doing things differently.
For a while. So we're going to start by just kind of playing a scale and then see if we can do a bit of this by ear. And if you've never played by ear or kind of like learned something like this before, it's going to be fun and challenging, and be kind to yourself about it. The fun is the most important thing. So just waiting for Mung Fei and Matt and Grace and Nick and Jackie. Oh my gosh, Connor, is that a ukulele? That is so awesome.
It is. I was going to bring out the guitar, but I thought we'll change it up a bit again. We'll see how the ukulele goes.
Sweet.
What does Phoebe have?
Nick, what are you playing?
I was going to play Barry, but I don't think it was an E flat part.
I can make you an E flat part. It'll take me about 2 seconds. Hang on.
Transpose, Nick. Don't be.
Or you could just play the bassoon part and add 3 sharps.
Or just play it as, if it's in treble, just play it like bass clef, because that does it.
Yeah.
And Beck, I am feeling your life right now, playing this giant tuning slide. It is making me suck very much at intonation. And very brief side story. When I was in year 9, I took up trombone because I wanted to play in the jazz band at school. So I played French horn before that. And I got invited to play at a Christmas service at the church of one of my teachers on Christmas Day. And so we had the French horn and the trombone ready to go in the car. And we were like, it was about 20 minutes drive, 30 minutes drive from where I lived. And we got to the church and the French horn, which was the school French horn, was not in the car. So there was major freaking out happening. And so my parents left me to go in search of what had happened to the French horn, which it turned out had been left on the nature strip outside our house where the car was parked. And all I had was my trombone, and I had played trombone on like a few of the pieces, but had mainly been playing horn. So then I found on Christmas Day, during this Christmas service, found myself sight reading the entire Christmas service on trombone, and I realized that I had never played the notes B natural or F sharp on the trombone before, and I didn't know how to play them. So that's why my F sharp sounds really sucky on the trombone.
B natural does suck.
Yeah, and I think I've played a few B naturals since, but not many F sharp. Scavenger hunt. So if you've got, maybe put your instrument down for the moment, and this was going to be a little, we might make this like a super sprint. It was going to be a little bit longer in time, but we might make this a super group sprint together. So we've got 18 people. So we might do this in groups of 3, 3-ish, something like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to, each group is going to get a musical style or like culture, genre, and you're going to have basically 10 minutes in your group to go and scavenger hunt answers to a whole bunch of different questions, and then you're going to do a kind of speed present to the rest of the group. So let's have a super speed share of everything that we learned in the last 10 minutes about a musical culture. Can we start with the people who were in breakout room 5, which Liz was in?
So I was with Suching and I, and we chose sort of Native American music. So we just scrolled back through the chat and picked that. And also, funnily enough, there's a music store around the corner from me that on Brunswick Street that sells a weird range of things, including like fire twirlers and circus equipment, but also some world music instruments, like really good ones. And they have a whole load of these Native American flutes, really cool. Anyway, so that started that. I don't know that we found a huge amount about it, to be honest, but just kind of a couple of things like the importance of the like storytelling, and a lot of music is kind of related to power and invoking spirits and healing and things like that. Yeah, I don't know if the other two want to jump in and say something.
It had some, so like some of the special characteristics of their music is irregular rhythms they use, and then singing is also a big part of their music. And the interesting thing is they sort of sing slightly off key as well.
I'm gonna forget this, but okay.
That was awesome. Thank you, Teresa.